everyone, and welcome to my channel again. Today I'm going to be visiting Meidum pyramid. The Meidum pyramid is the one in this picture. It looks really weird. It looks like a false pyramid. A writer and a historian called Stabon, he called this pyramid the false pyramid or trial pyramid. So Meidum is a really strange name, of course, because normally it should be Martun, which means the beloved Atum, which means the sun or sunset. So there's many different layers of interpretations of what a word could actually mean. And so this is the pyramid here. Egyptologists call this pyramid the E1 pyramid. This pyramid is really a very important key element in understanding all pyramid constructions. It's like when I went to the bent pyramid in this video, I was saying the bent pyramid is awesome because it explains everything and how the pyramid building was gradually improving over time. The pyramid building of Senefru, in Egyptology, they say the engineer of this pyramid wasn't really a great engineer. So he started with a certain angle, and when he discovered that the inner chamber was going to collapse because it couldn't hold the weight, so they changed the angle and made it possible to finish the pyramid without damaging the inner chambers. So I thought, maybe why didn't he augment the base? Why didn't he broaden the base so he could continue? So that's the whole idea of this pyramid. Because as you can see here, it's weird looking, and the reality of the pyramid, what he wanted to do to finish is this. So there's two kings who worked on this pyramid. The first one is Huni, which is the E1, and then Senefru came, continued building this pyramid he wanted to finish, and at the same time he was working on the bent pyramid, which is also in Dahshur. They're both in Dahshur, but they're 50 kilometers apart, which is why I'm going to be visiting this tomorrow and not today. I'm going to be waking up early in the morning and heading to the Meidum pyramid, which is 100 kilometers from where I live. So it's going to be quite a journey, yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I've been looking forward since the beginning of Corona, and yeah, I'm having goosebumps all over me, for going on this trip because this pyramid has so many things. First of all, I'd like to explain to people that when you're looking at a pyramid, you can't just examine the pyramid. You have to examine the whole complex, because it's not just about the pyramid, it's about the pyramid complex. For example, in Saqqara, the step pyramid, which is this one, the step pyramid doesn't have any satellite pyramid and doesn't have an east temple and doesn't have valley temple. It's missing a lot of things. It's not square base, it's rectangular base. So why did they start with a rectangular base? It's because of the sarcophagus. The sarcophagus is key element of dimensions of the human body. And as everybody knows, the famous saying, as above, so below, and what goes up must go down. So building a pyramid has a lot to do with this, because you're playing with gravity. Proportions of the base has to be adequate enough to support the weight that's going up. So to find out these proportions, apparently it locks down with the human body, how the human body has golden ratios. So yeah, it's about gravity. Gravity and the pyramid base. Why didn't Senefru broaden the base to continue his pyramid? Well, because he already knows in this construction he tried to do that. He actually tried to broaden the base and make it bigger, but by making the E2 and E3, by time they collapsed because it didn't hold. And he learned his lesson. That's why in the bent pyramid he didn't broaden it, because he knows exactly what happens if you do that. If you broaden the base, then you will have the same collapse problem, and it's not going to be standing the test of time, just like this one. So after all, this pyramid shouldn't be called Senefru's pyramid, because what's left of the pyramid is of Huni. Huni, who built also pyramid, in Sela. It's a tiny pyramid, and so Egyptologists call this kind of pyramid provincial pyramid. But Egyptologists don't even call it Senefru or Huni pyramid. They call it the E1 pyramid because there is a problem with naming this pyramid. Because during the ancient Egyptian time, there is a priest who went inside and wrote the name Senefru on it, inside the pyramid. He wrote, priest came by, visited this pyramid, and he called it after the name Senefru. That's why there is a problem here. But everything around the pyramid, which is the complex, is evidence that it's not really actually Senefru's pyramid. It's Huni's pyramid. So the priest who visited this pyramid a long time ago, he didn't have enough knowledge. And this is crazy. Because even an ancient Egyptian could be ignorant of his own thing. Like, for example, Cleopatra is nearer to us in timeline history than she is to the Great Pyramid, even though she is an ancient Egyptian. But she is nearer to us in the timeline. So you can imagine why a priest can make a mistake like this. So the most important thing that I'm going to be analyzing in this trip, and the most important thing that I really want to make you pay attention to, is the pyramid complex, because it's you have to look at it from this perspective. It's a whole complex. The step pyramid was first rectangular pyramid, and if you look at the proportions of the last part, which is rectangular also, as if it's the proportions of a sarcophagus, of a human body. So that's the whole idea. It's from earth to above, taking it above, and by the perfect gravity balance. The balance of gravity, of earth and the sky. And then they develop themselves by saying, why should we do a rectangular base, which is the mastaba, and make mastabas on top and make it all rectangular. And inside this Saqqara pyramid, there's a huge vault made of about 30 something huge granite stones, and they put the body inside. And what's left of the body was just an arm, so we can carbon date that arm. And also inside the pyramid, there's like the whole family of King Djoser. In the step pyramid, they used alabaster to make the sarcophagus that's in one piece. But when they used granite, they made a big vault. So later on, when they made the Meidum pyramid, there's a mastaba right next to it. It's called Mastaba 17, that has the first granite sarcophagus that's in one piece that's ever been built in ancient Egypt. And this sarcophagus has the same proportions as the Great Pyramid sarcophagus, except that it's 3 times thicker, and that's it. But it has the same height and same length, but it's 3 times thicker. So they are actually targeting this kind of precision, the precision of the sarcophagus and the balance between the pyramid base and the pyramid height. So they can reach the pinnacle of pyramid building. And to reach the pinnacle of pyramid building, you have to go through all this. You have to go through mastaba first, and then you have to go through this problem with the corners, because you can't start in the middle and then start building around it, because what's built around it will collapse eventually. And accession layers, which is the stones put like this. So he tried to do accession layers here, and it didn't work because inside was different than the outside, so they didn't hold up together. So then he did accession layers in his own bent pyramid, and this way he could learn. It's like a musician trying to, or an architect working on 2 projects, and when he finds a mistake in this project, he goes and corrects it in the other project, so he can save one at least from the 2. And the best thing about Senefru that he actually finished with the 3rd one, with a conventional, least steep pyramid of all the pyramids. He wanted to make like something very solid and very easy that has no problems. So later on, Khufu can learn how exactly which angle should be the best angle. And the surprising thing is that the ancient Egyptians altogether as a legacy, especially the pyramid builders, they wanted to achieve, before anything else, they wanted to achieve perfections in the pyramid itself, in the building, and also the complex. And the proof of that is that this pyramid not only has the sarcophagus right next to it in Mastaba 17 inside its complex, that has the same proportions of the Great Pyramid. It also has the same angle as the Great Pyramid, 5150, which is nearly the same kind of thing. The Great Pyramid is 5148, so there's difference of really nothing. I mean, talking about ancients building with primitive tools, really this kind of difference is not really, it's not really important. Maybe it's even our mistake in measuring, because maybe you don't know this, but the Great Pyramid doesn't have equal length from all sides. All sides are different. So the Meidum Pyramid, it's where pyramid complex actually started to be different, and innovation started. Instead of an east temple next to the pyramid, they made something called Eastern Chapel. It's like smaller than a temple. Also, there's a causeway from the east temple to the Nile, but we never found a valley temple. And that's because maybe it was erased by time, or maybe there was never a valley temple. We have no idea, we don't know, and we can't speculate on that. One more thing about that pyramid, the Meidum Pyramid. So it has a satellite pyramid in the south, and it has mastaba outside the pavement and the enclosure wall. So the pyramid had an enclosure wall that's completely surrounding the pyramid. There's only a passage through that wall that has the causeway going to the Nile. And inside this enclosure, there's the satellite pyramid and the chapel. But the mastabas are part of the wall. So that's kind of interesting. Is it inside the complex or outside? We cannot tell, but it's like part of it because it's touching the wall. And later on, Senefru evolved, still made a satellite pyramid at the south, slightly in a different position than this one. He had a valley temple, which was discovered. He had also a chapel. And instead of one room with a core-belt ceiling, because the Meidum Pyramid is the first one that had core-belt ceilings. So he took the core-belt ceilings as a progression in his two other pyramids. And he also took the satellite pyramid, and he took the chapel. And he also, at the end, had the valley temple. The only surprise is that in the red pyramid, the last pyramid he made, he doesn't have a satellite pyramid, he doesn't have valley temple, he doesn't have a causeway, but he has a chapel. So it's very interesting. And then later on came Khufu with an east temple and a valley temple and the causeway between them and satellite pyramids, 3 of them. So that's pretty impressive. Senefru not only took the core-belt ceilings to his bent pyramid and the red pyramid, he also used it in the satellite pyramid, which is very, very kind of strange, because there is no other satellite pyramid that has core-belt ceilings, core-belt ceiling chambers inside. Because usually they're small, they don't even need to have core-belt ceilings. The weight can support the chamber. So that's very interesting, because like in my last video that I made about the bent pyramid, I told you the little secret is in the little pyramid. He made a tiny grand gallery inside this tiny pyramid, which is very, very important to notice, because this is also part of the progression of pyramid building. So Senefru actually is the first one to think about making a grand gallery, or a gallery of some sort in a pyramid. He took the core-belt ceilings and made 2 chambers inside the bent pyramid and the red pyramid. So instead of making just one chamber like Honi pyramid and also in the Saqqara pyramid, instead of making one huge chamber without core-belt ceilings like in Saqqara, he started developing and making core-belt ceilings, and making, instead of one chamber like in the Meidum pyramid, he made 2 chambers. And then he also added some kind of innovation in the tiny pyramid, the satellite pyramid, which is like the grand gallery of the Great Pyramid. So it's like the beginning of discovering how they progressed through the ages to finally reach the pinnacle of pyramid building, which is as above, so below, and the pyramid is in perfect shape. The corners are in the right position to start building the perfect base, which has the perfect height, which will support the perfect chamber inside. You know, so it's all about gravity. And philosophically, it's very intriguing, because gravity, in the English language, when you have an issue, there is a gravity to it. Even though you're not literally having weight on your shoulders, but there is gravity. It's like the total mystery. So that's why the ancient Egyptians were obsessed with gravity. It's like we are now obsessed with space exploration. They were obsessed with something more important, which is gravity. Anti-gravity is a thing, you know, is a thing that the humans pursue since ever ancient men started to think on their own without the guidance of understanding why they are here, and the guidance of prophets and guidance of God. So they started deviating and thinking about anti-gravity and thinking this is science and dreaming about it. They made even small planes because they wanted to fly so much. Because building something is working with gravity. If you have a tiny base, like, I don't know, the Eiffel Tower, you have to have certain corner base so you can have certain height. If the height is bigger, then the base won't support this height and it will collapse eventually by time. So it can stand for a while, but it's eventually going to collapse by time. So the solid thing is the perfect angles, which is incorporated in the human body itself. Like human being to be standing on Earth without having any problems with gravity. We don't have to be kneeling down all the time. We're a perfect being walking on 2 legs, 4 limbs at first, like a baby, and then 2 legs. And then when we grow up, we walk with 3 legs because it's with a stick. It's also the gravity of the issue. If you don't understand your purpose, then you have gravity of an issue. It's solving the riddle of your purpose on Earth. FYI, just for your information, Khufu doesn't have only 3 satellite pyramids. It has four satellite pyramids, just for your information. But this one doesn't exist anymore. There's only the base, because it collapsed with time. Just so you know. Great books and must-haves is this one by Mark Lehner. This is a great book. This part of the book is incredible. I really enjoyed this part. Really enjoyed this book. I haven't read it all, but just looking at the parts that I need to know is good enough for me. Also, this huge book, Giza Pyramids. It's also Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass. It's an incredible book. And it's just an incredible book. You have to have it. It's one of the must-haves. Unfortunately, it's not very light. If you want to know more about Senefru, you have to know something very, very important. It's called the Palmeiro stone. The Palmeiro stone is like the holy grail of Senefru. It has so much information. It's like the Rosetta stone. It has the story of Senefru going to Lebanon and getting cedar wood from there. He took 40 boats to get cedar wood from Lebanon to build other boats, some of which reached 52 meters. So 4,600-year-old wood. Also, Khufu's son Jedefre went to the same place, Lebanon, to get the same type of wood to build the sun boat, which is right next to the Great Pyramid. So the great thing is that Senefru, when he built his own pyramids, he put aside the sarcophagus. He didn't really care about a vault, a granite vault, or a basalt sarcophagus, or alabaster sarcophagus, or a granite sarcophagus in one piece. He put this aside and he concentrated all his effort in going to the Meidum pyramid and finding out errors in building here and perfecting it in the bent pyramid, and also improvising the structure in corbel ceilings and chambers, and understanding the weight, pressure, and the gravity and the base. How big should the base be? So he already knew that the sarcophagus is something that has already been dealt with, and they already know what's the best sarcophagus to be put inside the best pyramid. So they kept it for the best pyramid. That's why he didn't put any in his 2 pyramids. So it's like the holy grail of the pyramid. It's like the holy of the holies. If you perfect your pyramid, then you can have the privilege to put the sarcophagus inside. But if you're still testing in building pyramids, then it's better to be in the ground in a mastaba or something like this, because to them it's like this pyramid is a transformation machine to the other world. So it's not really worth risking that, knowing that you have done an imperfection in this building and putting yourself into it, because you will be living this imperfection in the afterlife. That's what I suppose, what I think, you know. Anyways, that's what I wanted to say, and I hope you liked the video so far. I know I've been talking a lot, so just keep watching and see you on the other side. Peace.